Dragon Ball Super episode 107 is now officially in the history books, as we're going to move on forward into Dragon Ball Super episode 108, and joining me here today for the first time is a close friend of mine by the name of Dazael. A lot of you guys may know him from my live stream, from Emish's live streams. He actually creates some really cool, sprite animations and whatnot. You guys might want to go ahead and check his channel out, as we're going to be further discussing our thoughts and predictions going into Dragon Ball Super episode 108. And again, if you guys agree or disagree with myself or Dazael, post your comments down below as to your overall expectations and thoughts going into next week's episode. Daz, I want to welcome you onto the channel for a one-on-one discussion. I know you saw Dragon Ball Super episode 107, and to me, I thought it was a really good episode. It definitely foreshadowed, the things that are going to be happening in the next episode with Frieza and Frost. And going into next week's episode, judging based on what we saw in the preview, what I wanted to know first, because this has been like a controversy within the community. Some people think that Frieza is kind of using this whole Frost gimmick as a ploy to get Frost to trust him to ultimately betray him, while other people believe that, in fact, that he may in fact betray his own team and, go about, being a lone wolf here. So, in your opinion, do you think that next week is going to be the defining moment to where Frieza turns his back on Universe 7, or do you think that this is some sort of like a tactic or a ploy just to get Frost to trust him in eliminating him? Because a lot of people seem to believe that either A, he's going to betray them, or B, he's just doing this as a way to trick everybody into furthering his agenda. So what I wanted to know from you, first things first, is what are your overall expectations for Frieza going into next week's episode in terms of him having to confront Gohan and either A, possibly betraying his team, or B, using that as some sort of a gimmick or a ploy to further his alternate agenda, you think? So, like, what are your thoughts on that?
All right, well, I want to thank you for having me on a one-on-one discussion after like ages now.
Yeah, right?
But, yeah, ages, been ages. But anyway, in reference to Frieza, see, me, I just have to look at the previous episodes of what Frieza has been doing. He's been walking around the stadium, or stage, whatever you want to call it.
Yeah.
And every time we've seen him, he's been foddering whoever he's come across. So
in his final form, bro. Yeah,
in his final form, just casually bodying people, knocking them off with his tail, shooting their wings off, everything. Having people scared enough to just run off the stage themselves. But personally, I don't feel like Frieza is gonna betray Universe 7, because to me, it'd be so stupid for him to do that. Because if you're walking around the stage and you see Goku and Vegeta knocking off people, you see Roshi knocking off people, you're even knocking off people yourself, it makes no sense for you to betray the team that's actually winning for a team that is much weaker than your own team. Because Frieza's ultimate goal is to get brought back to life, ultimately, right?
Yeah.
So it makes no sense for him to, okay, I'm gonna betray my strongest, my team, which is like the strongest team so far, other than, Universe 11 and 6.
Arguable, yeah, arguable.
Yeah, just for a weaker team that's most likely going to get eliminated in the long run. So I feel like Frieza is just trying to, I feel like he's playing both universes, because Frieza, he likes doing everything himself.
Yeah,
he's a ruler. It's just in his nature. So I feel like he's gonna ultimately backstab Frost after he uses Frost to get what he wants, which is ultimately to, play with and destroy the Saiyans in the end, which is still kind of a dumb tactic since he wants, to be revived. So
right.
Frieza overall is just being...
So you're standing on the idea that he's not legitimately going to play his universe, because you do have a point. It's like, what's the point of doing it now when you when you know that your team is winning, number one? Well, not necessarily winning, but you're even out with Universe 6, because both teams have, I do believe, 8 people minus Roshi now, so it's like 7 to 8. But both universes right now stand at a pretty even number here, and just understanding that Frieza is going up against Gohan. My question to you is, like, why? Is he using that just to antagonize him and just to get him a bit more, like, under pressure? Because what's the point of watching one of your teammates fight someone and struggle and not help them, and instead jumping in and fighting that person yourself? It's like, the rules don't state to where you can't fight your own team, because apparently enough you can do that. Again, man, this is all entertainment. Yeah. This is all entertainment for Zeno, so if he approves of it, why not, right? But my question to you is, how far is this fight with Gohan gonna go? Because we see him getting punched in the face. We see Gohan punching Frieza in the face. So obviously they're gonna have some sort of an engagement, because I didn't really think, in my opinion, that we were gonna see this, because based on the spoilers, it just said that Frieza was gonna sit back and watch. But now we see him jumping in and having some sort of like an exchange with him. So how far do you see this fight going, and what is the outcome of this fight? Is someone else going to break it up? Is, you know, is Frost going to essentially help Frieza? Like, why Gohan? Because we see Frost point out Gohan in the preview. So, like what's your take on this fight, and how is it going to go?
Answering the question of why Gohan, since Frieza, he hates Saiyans, ultimately just hates them. He wants to get rid of them, right?
Yeah.
So, since Goku's preoccupied with Ribian, which she should be gone, by the way.
She really should.
I don't like her.
I don't either, man. I swear to God.
But I feel like Frieza is attacking Gohan as a way to at least get back at Goku somehow, because he still holds that resentment for Goku.
Yeah.
And since Gohan is still a Saiyan and somewhat represents Goku, it's like, okay, since you're a Saiyan, I will use Frost to, you know, handle you, I guess, and then come in and also just do my dirty work to just play around, just to get revenge on the Saiyans. But yeah, that's how I see it ultimately.
Do you see this resulting in one person getting the upper hand on the other, or do you see it like being broken up?
I feel like Gohan just needs to lay hands on Frieza. Just this one time for everything Frieza has done to this man since he was a little boy.
Yeah.
He was bullied, literally bullied as a kid. He comes back again. It's bullied in his tracksuit.
Yeah, it gets tortured,
like,
yeah.
Bro, Gohan needs to lay hands on this man, Frieza. Especially if Frieza is doing this to the team. Like, I'm on your team and you're gonna sit here and backstab me just to get back at my father? Like, come on now.
I think that ultimately, I think it's probably gonna get either broken up or a third party entering. I could see Frieza and Frost working together to, you know, combat Gohan, but just like we haven't seen them for quite some time now, I think that either Khalifa or Kale, or if not both, are probably going to step in trying to assist Gohan, because that would be a good way to showcase Frieza and Frost legitimately fighting Saiyans. Either it be Gohan, Khalifa, and Kale, or maybe Gohan and just Kale, like whatever the case may be, seeing the Universe 6 and 7 Saiyans work together to fight the newly formed team of Frieza and Frost would be awesome, because we know where Frieza and Frost stand as individuals. Like, they're snakes, they're cowards, and quite frankly, they're very deceptive. But I think that, in my opinion, what we might see going into next week is someone possibly helping Gohan, because it's really hard to say where Frieza's final form stands with Gohan right now in his ultimate form. So I don't see Frieza going golden yet, because I don't think Gohan's going to be the one to push him that far. I think that it might be somebody else. However, by the end of the preview, I don't know if you caught a glimpse of it, we got to see Frieza walking away, and Frost was behind him, and he looked very, very, like, menacing. And as the camera panned down, we see Frost holding out his finger, and we saw, like, a beam formulate. So my question to you is, do you think, in your opinion, that this is going to set up Frost betraying Frieza? Because, no, I mean, it's bound to happen, like, in his nature, because I really don't see these two working fully together until the end, because they both have plans, they both have agendas, and there can only be one, right? There can only be one by the end of this. I mean, I haven't heard or seen anyone say, oh yeah, if there's two of you remaining, you win. No, it's only going to come down to one person. So, do you think that what we might see next week is the formation of this team ultimately being broken up by the end, or Frost turning his back on Frieza? Because that's what I feel like I'm kind of getting that vibe. I'm getting that vibe that Frost is going to do something to where it's going to cost him the team. It's going to cost him that trust with Frieza, because I don't know if it's going to be due to Frost, but I think that Frost is going to have some sort of influence as to attacking Frieza per se. But what are your thoughts on that? Do you see Frost betraying Frieza, or do you see them fully going together up until like a certain point in Dragon Ball to where either they fight a mutual enemy, or they end up fighting each other? Like what are your thoughts on that?
To be honest, I feel like Frieza and Frost are both playing each other behind the scene, and they don't know it. Because when I was on Twitter and I saw Toshio tweeting about what Frost said about he's trying to prove something to his business or whatever.
Yeah.
So Frost obviously has a motive behind what he's doing by siding with Frieza, and Frieza obviously has a motive by siding with Frost. So I ultimately feel like, I guess Frost at some point in the next episode realizes, okay, I don't need Frieza anymore, so I'm gonna backstab him. And I feel like once that happens, then those two are just gonna part, and the little scheming under rocks and crap is just gonna stop.
But then what's the point of teaming up then? Like, what's the point of actually getting together if you're ultimately gonna break up so soon? And that's only based on assumption, guys, in case you guys are wondering. We're not confirming this, we're just going based off assumption. But assuming maybe that Frost does something to break that trust, do you? I mean, because realistically speaking, I think me and you can agree that if it does come down to Frost and Frieza, I think that Frieza would beat Frost. I don't know if you agree or disagree with that.
Yeah, of course, Frieza would stomp that.
So like that would be a foolish mistake on Frost's end. But going into next week's episode, we also get to see, and we're gonna come back to Frieza and Frost just momentarily after we get through with this. We get to see Kaba finally do something. He's fighting Toppo. I think that this is gonna be kind of like, I wouldn't say a slaughter, like in terms of Kaba's respect, because I could see Toppo winning that fight, but in terms of Kaba versus Toppo, how do you see that fight going down? Because we haven't seen much from either of those characters. We haven't seen anything from Toppo at all, and we've seen just something very brief with Kaba. So between those two, how do you see that fight going about, and what's your overall prediction for that little scuffle? Do you see Vegeta making the save and helping Kaba and fighting Toppo? Like what are your thoughts on that in regards to Kaba fighting Toppo?
Toppo fighting Kaba is just weird to me. I would never put those two in front of each other to fight. But I'm not really sure. Kaba, I feel like at first, since he's really agile and he knows how to work his, use his environment to his advantage.
Yeah.
I feel like he'll be able to hold off Toppo. But
really?
No, not hold off in terms of
or
like
just survive long enough, I guess.
Yeah, survive against Toppo is like what I'm saying, because I feel like Toppo is just too much for Kaba as of right now.
I don't know, man. Like, even as a Super Saiyan, it's like Kaba hasn't done anything.
Yeah, I don't feel like Kaba's gonna do much to Toppo.
But do you see anybody getting involved in helping him? Perhaps maybe even hit jumping
I'd like,
saving him?
I'd like for Vegeta to come in and like, teach Kaba another lesson. But at the same time, it's like,
Honestly speaking, bro, I think this would be the perfect setup to have Hit fight Toppo. Because just like how Hit was able to save Khalifa from disaster and Kale, I think that this would be a perfect moment, because Hit right now, he's working as a team player. He's using his time skip to rescue people after getting ringed out or before getting ringed out. Ooh. And I think that just like we saw with Khalifa, when he saved her after Kale went berserk, we could see a similar situation to where Toppo beats Kaba down badly to where he's about to throw him out. Hit makes the save, jumps in, which sets up ultimately for maybe Hit versus Toppo, because I was just about to say you can't deny that, but because that would be a big fight. Like, even though we have Goku versus Jeiren coming up, that would also set up for something big alongside the other bigger fights we may have with like Golden Frieza, Vegeta, Ultimate Gohan. Android 17 hasn't been showcased, but in your opinion, do you see Hit being involved in next week's episode or most of Universe 6? Because we haven't seen much from Hit after episode 104. We haven't seen much from Kale or Khalifa since then either. So do you see any other Universe 6 fighter getting involved, or is this going to be strictly the events that we see with Frost and Frieza and Gohan?
It's strictly going to be those events with Frost, Frieza, and Gohan, but I feel like on the side, Hit should have some relevance in helping Kaba, because as you said, he's a team player, and Hit's really been trying to conserve himself overall, and he's been looking out for his teammates. Like the other time when he used time skip to help Khalifa from falling off the stage, versus Kale and all that stuff. So and it could set up, maybe Vegeta jumps in to teach Kaba another lesson. Hit comes in to save Kaba, and maybe that could set up for Hit versus Vegeta as well. You may never know.
That'd be a really good fight, though. Imagine that Hit versus Toppo versus Vegeta, like a triple threat.
Just watching, he's like, master.
Yeah. But then again, it's like what I believe is happening now is, I don't know if you noticed in this episode, but we're slowly starting to pick things up more and more. With, for example, with Jeiren, he didn't even move. He didn't even
He literally
he did not make any physical contact to Majikyle. He pushed him with like all that force. Like, I don't know if you saw it, but he made no contact. He annihilated him, bro, with one shot. And it was so bad, bro. It was so bad to where even the Kaioshin and the God of Destruction, that like you can feel the wind hitting them, and Goku was shocked. So little by little, do you see Jeiren displaying more of his feats, maybe against Brienne and Goku? Because in episode 109, I believe, it was said that finally Jeiren begins to reveal more and more of his energy, which overtakes Goku and party. So do you believe that Brienne might be ringed out by Jeiren? Like what are your overall expectations for Jeiren going into episode 108? Do you see him getting involved at all, or do you see him getting kind of like pushed aside for a bit just to showcase Frieza, Frost, and whatever they might have going on? What do you think?
Nah, I don't see Jeiren really being involved in 108 or 109 as of yet, because Goku, he needs to do something. He's been so fodder right now to me. Like, why is Brienne not gone, bro? You're just standing there saying get out of my way, and she's still there. Like, why?
Yeah.
But yeah, I feel like Goku just needs to get her out the way before, you know.
Is it going to be Goku, or is it going to be Jeirin that brings out Ribrianne, you think?
It better be Goku. I hope it's Goku, because
I hope it's Jeirin, I'm sorry.
Everybody Goku has like sat down. He's never pushed off the ring except for Universe 9.
Right.
Like, cause Ribrianne and the other, I don't know what their names were. They were literally at the edge of the map.
Kawaii and all of them, yeah.
Yeah, he could have literally just used the key push or ki, whatever you want to call it, and knocked them off. But he was just talking to him and then walked off. Like, what are you doing, Goku? Like, stop being fodder, please. So I hope he knocks off Ribrianne. That's just me, though.
I think it might be Jeirin, because I can see Goku, like you said.
Plus, plus. That's another way to, you know, build up the fight with Jeirin. Like, you showcase more of his power before he actually just sits Goku down. So, yeah.
But what did you think of this episode that we saw just now, episode 107? Would you say that, in your opinion, it was good character development? Was it like good storytelling in terms of, like, you know, seeing Roshi, you know, take what he took and then having to have Vegeta survive the Mafuba and, you know, breaking the rocks from Vegeta's ear? Like, what did you think about this episode as a whole? Would you say it was better than episode 106, or would you say that this episode was slightly inferior to previous episodes, in your opinion?
No, this episode to me was really amazing. The art was on point, the animation was on point.
Sweet, bro. And the music too.
Like Emish brought up early in VC when we were watching it together, he brought up how the choreography wasn't that good, like the storyboarding of the episode, because it's like you have Vegeta just standing there, like, just to look good. Then you have Goku over here still fighting Ribrianne for some unknown reason. Like, I hate her, I'm sorry.
Yeah, I do too. I don't blame you on that one.
And it's like, but the part I really hated that messed up the episode was Frost, not deflecting it, but reflecting the Mafuba.
Yeah.
And using it perfectly. He knows how to use it. Like, why?
But does that really surprise you? Remember Trunks, bro? He learned it off of a smartphone.
Yeah, but Trunks is understandable because they were rushing the arc. Yeah. It's like the arc was rushed, so I can understand that.
Right.
But this just came out of nowhere. Like, oh my god, like, it just how do you just reflect the Mafuba and know how to use it perfectly on your own?
I mean, I would much rather him reflect it than him learning it and doing it on his own, because it was kind of smart to see, like, how he was able to adapt what Roshi did, because it's not like he used it like out of his own will. Like, he used Roshi's, you know, energy. True. Like, he reflected it, which, again, going back to his body, you get to see like that white aura around him, which, you know, I would say is like a barrier to protect him from getting you know, like, absorbed through that. But you can't deny, like, how cool it was, because I originally thought that maybe it was going to reflect off of Vegeta or something like that into Vegeta, but seeing Frost do that, all he really did was he reflected the Mafuba and he guided Vegeta into the bottle. I mean, that was really it. I mean, it's not really hard to do that, but overall, seeing how this episode is going to play into next week, would you say that next week is going to be the beginning of some of these, you know, older fighters that are in the tournament, like Vegeta, Hid, Goku, Jeirin, finally showcasing more and more of their power? Or is next week literally going to be the calm before the storm, before we get into episode 109 and 110, which are going to be the specials, and it's going to be just groundbreaking after that? So, like, any final thoughts going into next week's episode, like, in pertains to, like, certain characters or whatnot?
Next week's episode, I feel like it's gonna be like the startup of the fights we've been, you know, wanting to see. Because you know how in the earlier episode there would be more random fighters that pop up and try to oppose Universe 6 or 7.
Yeah.
We haven't been really seeing that lately, except for Maji Kaio and probably a few other people who aren't that relevant. So I feel like this, going into episode 108 and the end of that, it's gonna lead up to all these big fights.
I for one, I think if anything, I still stand by the idea that to build up to the other fights coming up, I think that Hit ought to be involved, Vegeta ought to be involved, like, just kind of having like a stare down with people like Topo, with people like Jeirin, etc., just to build to what's going to be happening later. But post your comments down below, guys. What are your overall thoughts on episode 108? Would you guys agree or disagree with what me and Daz had to say? If you guys are new to the channel, punch that subscribe button, and as always, turn on notifications, because YouTube tends to be drunk. Daz knows it, I know it, Emish knows it, we all know how bad YouTube can get. And guys, please, if you can take a minute to go on ahead and check out Daz's channel and show him some support and some love on his videos.
Love, guys.
He does like some really awesome stuff, and I do believe that. No, go ahead.
Also, please just do hashtag Master Roshi in the comment section because he's the GOAT.
Yeah.
He's the boss. Master
Roshi
is
Roshi
amazing.
MVP.
Roshi MVP.
No, he really was. I mean, the way he fell out was awesome because like he was drained, bro. Like he just flopped away. It was fucking.
It was
great,
lit.
No,
he really stood up to Frost like a boss.
And he
saved
took all the hits too.
Unsealed him. Everything, bro. He was just a boss. Took hits from Frost. Was still ready to fight, bro. Master Roshi is awesome.
Hashtag Roshi MVP, guys. And again, as I said before, hopefully enough, I don't know if Daz takes requests for sprite animations, but if you guys have any sort of request for Daz, comment down below and let him know what you guys want to see. Maybe he might go on ahead and do some like Tournament of Power stuff, some alternate stuff, because he's done some pretty cool stuff involving Super Saiyan 4 and Goku Black, and you know, several things for Emish's channel. Hopefully enough, we get to see something on this channel as well with some animation stuff. So go on ahead, show some love to Daz, subscribe to his channel. Thank you all so much for watching. We hope you guys enjoyed because this was a fun little conversation, and we'll be seeing you all down in the comment section below. Have a great day, everybody. Peace.